Messy Workbench Productions presents this mid to late 1950s Eskimo desk fan. This is an all-metal fan, as you can see, kind of cool looking, and it's just a single speed model, non-oscillating, doesn't even have a power switch on it. If you want to turn it off, you have to unplug it. Now, these fans are known among collectors as drugstore fans or throwaway fans, and the reason they're called that is because they were sold in discount stores and at a much cheaper price than, say, an Emerson or Westinghouse or GE of the same era. Thus, when they stopped working, people usually kicked them to the curb and went out and bought a new one. But even still, these fans from back in the 50s that were considered disposable are much better than these little plastic Chinese crappy fans that you buy today. And even though these fans were considered throwaway, they're still highly serviceable. The only two things you've got to watch for with these is burned out motor windings, which I've personally never seen, and bad bearings. And usually the reason the bearings go bad is because people failed to oil these things periodically like you're supposed to do. They just ran them until they absolutely wouldn't run anymore. And that was the end of them. In fact, I was recently asked to fix a similar fan for a friend of mine at church, and that's what happened to his. They didn't take care of it. They never oiled it. I got it to run, but the bearings were so worn out in it that you just couldn't run it and get any kind of satisfaction out of it, so I told him just to put it up on the shelf and stare at it. And I guess that's what he's doing. I don't know. But like I said, this is an Eskimo fan. I've seen basically the same fan under the Zero brand name, as well as some store brands like Western Auto, Montgomery Ward, etc. And they made this particular series of fan for many years. I think the one that I was asked to fix for my friend at church, it was from the early 60s, but the motor and all was basically the same as what's in this fan. Actually, I think they made various versions of this fan at least through the early 70s. Of course, the newer fans had the more modern blade guard that these older fans didn't have. These fans, you can very easily stick your finger in there, although I've got sense enough not to do that. But I think by the early 70s they had gone to using the more modern safety guard. Now, according to the badge on the front of this fan, it's a model 1100R, manufactured by McGraw Electric, Bursted Manufacturing Division. When I got this fan, it was very dirty, very beat up. Of course, it didn't run. The cage was bent, the blades were bent. I cleaned it up good enough to make this video and straightened it out as best I could with what I've got here handy. I also took the motor apart and cleaned all the gunk out of it, and believe me, there was a lot of gunk in it, and I re-lubricated it, and it works fairly well. I think the bearings are a little worn, but it's still a highly usable fan. And I'll plug it up and give it a whirl. Part of the reason this fan's a little noisy is because it's supposed to have 3 rubber feet on the underside of the base. Well, unfortunately, one of those rubber feet is gone, but it shouldn't be too hard to make one. And as a result, the back corner of this fan is resting on the desk and transferring vibration directly to the desk. If I lift up on it a little bit, I don't know how well the camera's picking up that sound, but the noise greatly diminishes. But it's a good little fan. Like I said, much better than this cheap garbage you buy now. I'll probably eventually end up sanding this down and repainting it because it has got some blemishes on it. But anyway, there's my Eskimo desk fan from the 1950s. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed it. More to come later.